Welcome everyone to another edition of PonyFans Live. PonyFans Live is brought to you by Lakewood's First and 10, located at the northeast corner of Mockingbird and Abrams in Dallas, and recently named by D Magazine as the best sports bar in Dallas. Game Day Cloth, win or lose, love your clothes. Visit their store at the corner of Legacy and the Tollway in Plano, and check out GameDayCloth.com for the finest SMU gear anywhere, and PonyFans.com, the oldest, largest, and fastest growing website dedicated to the SMU Mustangs and Pony fans everywhere. With that said, please help me welcome our guests. Our first guest is SMU's leading receiver, tied for second in Conference USA and tied for 13th in the nation with 70 receptions, junior wide receiver Cole Beasley. Our second guest is arguably the Mustangs' most valuable defensive player, or at least one of them. 3 times over the last 2 years, he has come back from knee injuries to shore up the secondary, and did so again this past Saturday in SMU's victory over Marshall. One of the senior leaders of the defense, cornerback Sterling Moore. We're going to start with Cole, and before we get into this season, I always go back a little bit. When you were recruited, you were playing quarterback at Little Elm High School. Did any schools talk to you about staying at quarterback, or did you know from the get-go that if you were going to play in college, it was going to be as a receiver?
Well, I knew I was going to play receiver, but there were 3 schools that wanted me to play quarterback, but they were all option stuff. They weren't really throwing the ball, so it was just Air Force, Army, and Navy really all wanted me to run the option, but I knew I wanted to play receiver to give me a shot to maybe play at the next level one day.
I was going to say, you ran the option in high school, didn't you? You were running quarterback.
I was running quarterback, but we didn't run the option. We ran the spread.
Not an option, but you were a running quarterback and a very successful one. But so your desire to play receiver was simply the chance to go on another level.
Yes, sir.
All right. Who originally brought that idea to you of switching to receiver? Did you tell coaches I want to move to receiver, or did most of the coaches talking to you say, look, if you're coming to play for us, we're moving you out to the edge or to the slot? Well,
I knew that's really the only chance I had. I didn't want to go to Army, Navy, and be in the military. I just wanted to go to a school where I could get an education and not make a big commitment like that. So I knew my best chance was playing slot because nobody else would give me a chance to play quarterback.
At Little Elm High School, you played for a coach who also happened to be your dad. Now you're playing for a wide receivers coach who is still known in Hawaii as the Sun God and is the only coach in Texas, I'm sure, who has a surfboard in his office. Talk a little about the difference in style. I mean, I know it's different when you have a relationship like father-son relationship, but the difference in style playing for your dad and now playing for Jeff Reinbold.
They're 2 completely different people, I can tell you that much. My dad was probably a little bit more harder on me than Coach Reinbold was. All of the coaches really, not just Reinbold, are more loose, really. So my dad was a little bit more of a get-into-you guy. Reinbold is one of those guys that can pat you on the back and try to keep you up. He wouldn't really, I mean, he'll yell at you when he needs to do it, but he doesn't really yell very much.
You, I guess, made more of a name for yourself last year, at least on a national level, in the Hawaii Bowl, because, what was it, the 3rd play, the 5th play, whatever it was, you get the long pass over the middle, you ended up with 100 and something yards, you got in the end zone, and it seemed like Christmas Eve last year, everything you guys did offensively worked as you blew Nevada out. This year, you're still moving the ball up and down the field all over the place. You're averaging 420 yards a game. But the scoring is less consistent. Why?
Oh, we get a lot of yards, but eventually things just happen to make our drive stall. We get a stupid penalty or an interception or a fumble or a turnover or something. So, I mean, we're clicking sometimes, but we got to get to where we're clicking all the time so we can put it in the end zone.
Obviously, well, every play that you end up with the ball starts with Kyle. Well, all right, it starts with Blake Junkin, but Kyle gets it rolling, and a lot of people keep forgetting that when he took over as the starting quarterback last year, he was still brand new as a starting quarterback. He played 5 games, 6 games in high school, and so he's still very new at it. He went on a very nice run down the stretch last season, again culminating with the MVP award in the Hawaii Bowl. But now he's got a full year and a half under his belt, playing for Coach Jones and Coach Morrison, running this system. From your standpoint, as someone who's out there with him every day in practice, what are the biggest differences in Kyle Padron as a quarterback now compared to a year ago at this time?
Basically, his leadership on the field. I mean, last year he kind of just came in as a freshman, so he's more quiet out on the field, but now he's more of a vocal leader for us out on the football field. So that's the biggest difference between now and last year.
When he came in against, I guess it was Houston, when he came in when Bo Levi Mitchell got hurt, you know, you say he's more vocal now. Did he look nervous or scared when he first came in that huddle, and everybody he's looking at in the huddle is older than he is and got more experience?
I mean, I'm sure he was real nervous. He might deny it or say he wasn't, but I'm sure he was very nervous. I mean, I wasn't even in when he came in the Houston game. Darius was playing then, so I don't really know what to tell you about how he was in the huddle the first game. But, I mean, towards the end of the season, he wasn't really that bad. I think he was more comfortable being in there, and he was used to the situation.
You had 40 receptions a year ago, and now with at least one game left, and hopefully 2 or preferably 3, you've got 70. Part of that is because Emmanuel Sanders is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, and so he's not, you know, he took a lot of the balls. But what is the difference that has made you so much more productive this year?
I mean, part of it is because Emmanuel's gone, so we can't really lean on one guy just to make all the plays for us. Kyle's doing a good job of spreading it around a little bit more this year. I mean, Darius has 60 as well, and then I think Al has 50. It wasn't spread out like this at all last year, so I think the biggest thing is Emmanuel leaving and me just growing up as a receiver.
Does that make the offense, you may not have the headliner like you did last year, but does that make the offense more dangerous? I mean, if you think about it from the defense's perspective, last year they always knew number 17 was probably option 1.
Yeah.
Having 3 of you with more catches spread out like that, does that make the offense tougher to defend, you think?
Yeah, I think it is, and also Al makes it a lot harder on defenses too because they're worried about his speed and beating him deep, so that gives me a lot of room underneath and Darius a lot of room underneath, so Al's speed really helps us out a lot as an offense too.
You mentioned Aldrick Robinson, and last year the scouts were coming to Dallas largely to see Emmanuel Sanders, and all year this year Coach Reinbold has been saying Aldrick Robinson is the next one.
Yeah.
When he first got to SMU, he was basically a track guy. He was a sprinter. If the quarterback could get it to him, he could run under it. Now he's far more polished. Is that a realistic goal for him? Is he a draftable player in your eyes?
I really think he is because he's got the speed to beat you deep, but he's a good enough route runner to run something simple like a hitch or digs or anything or out routes on anybody. So, I mean, I think he definitely has the talent to play at the next level.
Coach Reinbold has said many times that a large part of Aldrick Robinson's improvement is a result of learning from Emmanuel. Last year he was the vocal leader, the statistical leader. What did you learn from Emmanuel that has helped you the most?
Emmanuel was a guy who practiced hard every day, no matter what. I mean, I remember one practice during 2 days he started cramping and like probably every muscle in his body. He didn't finish practice, but I mean, he's one of those guys who's going to go full speed until the whistle blows at practice or in the game. So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned from him is to develop a good work ethic to become the best player you can be.
Everybody talks about June Jones's offense, the run and shoot. You think about all the quarterbacks and receivers he's had at Hawaii and now with you guys at SMU. But for last year and this year, you also have more of a running game than he's normally had. Zach Line leads Conference USA with 106 yards per game. His 1,174 yards are the 8th highest total in school history. How much does he help what you're doing in the passing game by giving a balanced running threat?
I mean, I think Zach Lyons probably surprised a lot of people from how much playing time he got last year. He only came in as just the bruiser guy to score on the goal line. But now he's pretty much a running back that can do it all now. I mean, I think he's a better running back for Coach Jones' offense because he's bigger than Chambray was, so he can block and run the football. And then he can catch just as good as Chambray can too. He's not as fast, of course, but he's got really good feet for his size. But as an offensive standpoint, I mean, I think people are worried about our passing game a lot, and that opens up for him a little bit. But now, the past couple games, he's opened up the passing game for us because he's been beasting everybody. So
sort of puts the run back in the run and shoot.
Yeah.
When you looked at last year's offense, Sean Bray McNeil was the one getting all the headlines, all the yards. Yes, Zach came in and got the short yardage. I think he had 7 rushing touchdowns last year. But you were out at practice with him every day. Did you see anything that led you to believe he could come back this year and put up 1,100 yards?
Not in practice last year, but the off season, I could have guessed it maybe because he's one of the hardest working guys we have on this football team. He cut down some weight and worked on his feet and got a little bit faster. So, I mean, I knew he was going to have a good year.
Zach was originally recruited by Coach Jones to go to Hawaii and play linebacker. You ever sit back and wonder what he would look like on the defensive side of the ball?
I honestly believe he still could play linebacker. I mean, we have some good linebackers right now, but if one of them would go down, I mean, it wouldn't hurt if he filled the spot. So.
Coach Jones has a habit of recruiting high school quarterbacks and making them into receivers. You played quarterback in high school. Terrence Wilkerson, Cole Lofton, Jeremy Johnson. What is it about high school quarterbacks that make such good receivers at this level?
Well, I don't know like what other high schools do, but at my high school, we actually had to read coverages and stuff. And in Coach Jones' offense, knowing the coverages is the main part of being in the offense. He wants guys who know what they're doing, who can make the proper reads. So being a quarterback in high school helps you a lot because I used to watch film with my dad and stuff and go over coverages other teams' plays, so I was real familiar with them. So I think that helped me a lot and allowed me to come in and play a little bit as a freshman.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. That was Cole Beasley. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Sterling Moore. This is PonyFans Live.